Welcome to Peace, Freedom, and Joy. Today's 5-minute message is fear creates franticness. And I didn't know franticness was a word until I was like, fear creates frantic, but that doesn't sound right. So I looked up the definition of frantic and franticness came up. So it's kind of a fun word. But this came from me doing my daily walks. So I'm doing this 31-day challenge to be walking every day, 1 mile a day. And yesterday and today, we've been having some storms, and especially in the morning. And yesterday was the first storm. And when I went out, I was like, oh my gosh, am I even going to be able to go on this walk? And I was just like, I'm going to do it because it hadn't started. It was like in between storms. So it wasn't raining, but there were some dark clouds behind me. I could see like the sun kind of coming up in front of me. So it was somewhat light out when I started. So I started my walk, and all of a sudden, as I'm walking, it's getting dark, like really dark, very creepy, ominous, and just do not. And I actually thought to myself before it started getting dark, if it was darker out, I probably would not be walking right now because these clouds are so freaky. But because it was kind of light out, I was like, it's fine. And then it started getting dark, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I just need to get my mile done. And what it ended up helping me do, I'm like, okay, I don't want to get stuck in a storm. So I'm going to do a run walk. I've been eating so much more lately, but that encouraged me to be like, okay, let's do a run walk. So I started running, and then I would walk and then run. And it was only a mile. So it was like 12 or 13 minutes as opposed to like 15 or 16 minutes. So I got it done faster. And then this morning, same kind of feeling. It was already darker out and it was kind of sprinkling when I started my walk, and I could see some darker clouds moving in again. And so I said to myself, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna walk. But for whatever reason this morning, I don't know why, because the clouds weren't quite as scary as yesterday morning. But this morning when I went for my walk, I said to myself, maybe I need to go a different route so I can go a little bit faster, which like again, it doesn't even make sense logically for me to think that because my walks are basically 1 mile. But for whatever reason, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get too far from my house. So I was like constantly kind of like looking at the clouds, seeing what was happening. I was constantly looking to see how far I had been, to see when I could turn around. Like, I'm like, when I get to a half a mile, I'm turning around so I can come back home. So I started going on a different route. I was getting nervous about getting poured on and all of these things. And all of these things that I was getting nervous about that I was checking on, the reason I was doing it is because I was so focused on the fear of it pouring rain on me. I was so scared of getting caught in the storm that I was focused on all of these things. And usually when I go for a walk or a run, part of the reason I like doing it is because it helps me to connect with myself. It connects me with my spiritual connection. It connects me with God. It connects me with my spiritual team, which is my son and sometimes my nephew. It connects me with all of those people, and it connects me with nature, all of those things. This walk this morning did not do any of those things. I ended up getting my mile in, but the so the end result was basically the same. The end result was I walked for a mile, which is what my end goal really was. But how it felt to get there, it felt frantic. I was constantly looking at my phone, constantly looking at the clouds, constantly worrying if it was gonna start pouring all of a sudden, and I was, like, so focused on changing my route so I didn't get so far from home that I didn't enjoy it at all. As opposed to the day before, when there was still fear there, I was still worried about getting stuck in the storm, but instead of focusing on it throughout my walk, I was just like, "Okay, I'm just gonna do my thing." And then in the middle of it, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna start running," because I was already on a path that I knew around what a mile would be, so I didn't have to be constantly checking my phone to see how far I had been. Unlike today, when I was letting fear lead and create that franticness, I was constantly on my phone. And so I got to, even though there was still fear yesterday, I still got to experience some of the joy of going for a walk and a run in the morning. So the fear was still there, but I didn't let it lead me. I didn't let it dictate how I took action. So the feeling of it, I did my walk run for a mile both days. But the first day, I felt better after. I felt connected. it felt good, even though there was still fear there, but I didn't lead with the fear. I acknowledged the fear, but I didn't let the fear take over. Today, the fear was there, and for whatever reason, I let it take over. Then the feeling of getting to the mile, it was just kind of like I felt like, "Thank God I made it," but then I was like, I didn't even enjoy the mile, so what was the point? What was the point of doing it if I didn't enjoy it? Or if it's not even about not enjoying it, it felt like I had anxiety and it felt not good, like, it felt terrible to go on that walk. I'm sharing this with you because how often are you doing things and you're leading with fear? You're saying, "Oh my gosh, we need to do this because if we don't, this is gonna happen." When you're leading with fear of, "I can't spend this much money on this thing. We don't have enough time," and then you're making decisions in those things and saying, "Okay, I recognize this, and I'm not gonna dictate all of my decisions moving forward." And when you can operate from that place of faith and trust, knowing, "Okay, we're gonna get to the end. We don't have to know exactly how it's going to be to get there. We're going to get there, and I'm gonna trust that the time and the money will figure itself out. And I don't have to solely focus on that," or whatever the fears are for you. So I'm curious, when is the last time that you can remember, now that I'm sharing my story about this, that you can remember that you led with fear and how it felt? How did it feel when you led with fear? Did it feel frantic? Did it cause a little bit more anxiety? Did it cause more worry? And then was there a situation where there was some fear there, but maybe you chose instead to lead with faith and trust and love? And how did that feel? And compare the two. And do you want to continue to work in a place and lead your mission from a place of love and faith and trust and have a little bit more of that peace, freedom, and joy? Because those are aligned with love. What's not aligned with peace, freedom, and joy is leading with fear. And it's not negating the fear, it's recognizing it and allowing it, but not making decisions based on that fear. And how does it feel when you're leading with fear? You can shift this. You can start making choices. You can start recognizing the fear and saying, "I am recognizing this and I'm not going to lead with this. I'm going to lead from faith and trust so I don't feel frantic, frustrated, and out of control." You're welcome to connect with me however we are connected, through any social media platform or through email. If you are not part of the Facebook group, Peace, Freedom, and Joy for Changemakers, you can find that in the show notes or just search it on Facebook. You are welcome to join the community, join the movement of knowing that you deserve peace, freedom, and joy as a changemaker. You don't have to lead with fear and you don't have to sacrifice everything to create big change, that you can prioritize yourself and power your mission. So sending you all light and love, and always remember that you are worth it.